Mitch. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
What's the best assessment you got through 8 practice days of camp on your position?
Yeah. So I'll tell you what I really like about these guys, man, is their willingness to compete, their willingness to learn, and their willingness to be tough in tough situations, because we're throwing in some awfully tough situations. The thing you got to understand about playing the quarterback position in whether it's spring ball or fall camp is all there is scheme. All we're trying to do is implement schemes. There's no strategy to it. We don't sit in there and we don't talk about, hey, the defense is doing this coverage or doing this blitz or whatever. It's strictly go by your rule, right? And test your rule out and kind of throw them in the fire. And these dudes are doing a phenomenal job of that. They're still learning. We're still learning them as we go. I think every day we get a little bit closer, a little bit tighter. We figure out a little bit more what each of them likes and what each of them doesn't like. And that's probably the most exciting part is the kind of getting to know them and their style of play a little bit better. But good group, fun group, very competitive group, and one that is very eager, has a great sense of urgency to get better.
I know you guys track everything. How are you liking completion percentage, ball security from your top 2 guys?
You can never be happy with completion percentage unless it's at 100%. You know what I'm saying? You always want better. The thing about completion percentages is this too. You always want to try to find completions. That's the big thing. But in doing that, you also want to make sure that we're making smart decisions, right? So, for instance, like when we grade these guys, if it's a true throwaway, we don't count that against them, right? Because we want that to go into their mind of, hey, that's a good play. At certain times, that is a good play. That's the best thing we could have done in that play. So that's a part of it. I think that when we first started camp, obviously we've kind of grown into a better completion percentage as we've gone. When we first started, would have loved for it to been a lot higher. But like I said, those dudes have done a phenomenal job of going in the classroom, looking at what we need to improve on, especially from a completion percentage standpoint, and then going out there and trying to improve on that and getting the ball out of their hand and making really good decisions and trying to find those completions.
The ball security part, what's that look like for you?
So that's obviously y'all know, like the only thing we talk about around this play, OTB. And I just told him today, we had a lot of scrimmage type situations today. Thud, we weren't in full, but we were thudding up. And I told him today, man, if you own the ball and you own the situation, you'll own the team. And that's all you got to do at the quarterback position. Own the ball, own the situation, whatever the situation is that we put you in, whether it's a 2-minute, 4-minute, red zone, whatever. Own the ball. Don't do stupid things with the ball. Own the situation, and you'll own the team. And the better that we get at that, obviously the better we'll be as a football team. The guy who gets the best at that, the quickest, will be the one who, like I said, owns the team.
Obviously, I don't expect you to tell us what you're saying, but the conversation, is it daily on where the quarterback battle shapes up, or are you looking more just like overall, or is it just a daily discussion of who's where?
Yeah, it's hourly, between me and Crams. I mean, everything they do is getting analyzed. How they meet, how they answer questions, how they talk to the team, how they practice, how they go perform, the whole thing. And that's no different. I mean, every position's the same way. Obviously, ours is a little magnified at times, but it's a daily conversation. And those dudes like it that way, man. They have not backed down from anything yet. Any challenge that we've thrown at them, they've been more than happy to address it and go full speed towards it.
What, in your opinion, are the things that you want to see better from AJ and KJ specifically, if you had to dial it down?
So KJ, we've talked to him without giving too much, but we've talked to him about some of his misses. Okay, some of his easy completion type deals, right? And there's some fundamental things that go into that. Some quarterback nerdy stuff of leveling your shoulders and driving through your blah, blah, blahs and all of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, man, some open throws that we've missed that we can't afford to miss, right? And then AJ just making better decisions and making them quickly, right? You know, hell, you guys know this in this league, man. You don't have a lot of time to sit back there, you know, and process things. And a lot of times, you got to go through your reads, you got to go through your progressions very quickly. But at the same time, you got to do them very intelligently, you know. And so that's been the thing, is from one side of it, the misses, and then from AJ's side of it, just that development from a cerebral standpoint of, hey, this is a good decision, get the ball out of your hand right now, you know. And like I said, they've done a good job addressing those things and trying to get better at those things.
A lot of the short passes, we see you guys work a lot of screens and swing passes and stuff like that. How beneficial can that be for a quarterback that maybe doesn't have as much experience? Huge, because as you guys well know, man, that's the easiest thing and the best thing that you can do for a quarterback early is get him comfortable. And it doesn't matter if he's a first-year guy or he's, you know, I'm sure Peyton Manning would have told you the same thing. Even at the back end of his career, it was always very important for him to probably find some completions early and get that ball out of your hand early, you know. And we stress that. Again, our terminology in our room is find completions. On every play, no matter the defense, there's a completion that can be found. We've just got to go through the processes of finding it as fast as we can and getting that ball out, because that helps everybody. That gets your playmakers involved. From that standpoint, it helps your O-line. Because they love it. They love it when the ball's gone and the D-line hadn't even got off the ball and touched them yet. You know, that makes them feel comfortable as well. Plus, the more that you can get that ball out in space, you're making the defense chase the ball, right? And that's a way to wear those guys down too. So it's a huge part of what we do. As well as probably the most fun part about that is we think that, you know, when you stick the jab and you work the body, that's when your haymaker comes. And that's ultimately what you're trying to do.
You mentioned challenging the quarterbacks, and that's something Coach Cramsey talked about with us. He gave an example of, like, him and Coach Silverfield screaming in the headsets, you know, to try and rattle them. Can you share maybe some other ways that you guys are really, as a coaching staff, trying to make things maybe difficult for them and challenging them here in fall camp?
Well, today we had the speakers. Obviously, we had the speakers up there on the indoor facility. I think those were rolling at about 97 or 98 decibels or whatever the term is. It was loud as hell, I can tell you that. Plus, our strength coach had a sound box, a speaker that's as big as him, right, with a backpack strap on it, and he was standing right beside the quarterback the whole time, forcing them to over-communicate, whether it be cadences, whether it be play calls in the huddle. I would be lying if I told you that we made some of those play calls short. Like, they were very wordy to try to see who can get in that huddle and who can communicate to everybody while all of that noise and all that chaos is going on. So we do that. Like I said, we put them in some bad situations at times. You know, in a blitz period, we may put them in some situations where they don't have a whole lot of protection on purpose. Okay, here's the worst possible scenario. What's your solution? Okay, find us a solution. In a run period, we may give them some certain runs that we know versus, you know, some of the things that our defense is doing to us right now. Hey, this is going to be a problem. I want to see how they get us out of it. And just constantly callousing their minds, right? And kind of building that mental fortitude, if you will, to where when you start the game planning process, things should seem a lot simpler, right? Because you've worked it Monday through Friday, okay? And you got these handful of plays, these 50 plays that you've worked 5 days on, as opposed to here's install 1, here's install 2, here's install 3, all the way through install whatever, never, ever, ever really talking about much about what the defense is doing and what blitzes we don't care. We don't even get the defense's installs because we don't care. We don't care what blitzes they're seeing. We just go by our rules and try to fix it from there. And I think in doing that, we put them in some pretty tough situations.
Obviously, a quarterback's got to make plays, but every coach talks about own the ball and taking care of it. I mean, could that be potentially a trump card in this quarterback battle? Like, who has the least amount of turnovers, who values possession much. I mean, how important is that? And when you're going to make the decision at the end of who QB1 is?
That's the ace in the hole of what we do. It's going to come down to who can own the ball, because if you own the ball and you can control the ball, you can control the game, you can move the offense forward, right? And that's what it all boils down to. All of the studies and all of that kind of stuff, the biggest thing that they talk about is down series success rate, How many times do you go out and take the field? How many first downs do you get? How many drives do you finish? That's how you do it, right? Do not give up the ball. Obviously, you guys know, y'all have seen all the studies. The more you turn it over, the less likely you have to win ball games. The less you turn it over and the more that you take the ball away, the more likely you are to win ball games. If you couple that with some explosive plays and then some more explosive plays as you gain your confidence, then you can start to roll a little bit. And that's what it's not just something that we put on the walls. The OTB is not just something that we put on a T-shirt and put on the walls. It's truly it is the DNA of what we do offensively.
What do you want to see other than taking care of the football,
Yeah.
What are you excited to see in the scrimmage? What do you want to see maybe from each of them, whether it's different things or commonalities? I mean, what is the most important thing you'll be looking for in the scrimmage?
There are some things like the two that I said from each of them, the glaring things that each of them have to get better at. There's some other things that we have talked about with all of them, all five of them, that they have. We talk about making a new 100% each day. That's Cramsey's deal is, hey, what are you doing to create a new 100%? So every day we kind of challenge those guys with, after we watch the tape, hey, you need to get better at this. You need to get better at this. You need to get better at this. And each one of them have one or two of those things. And so those things are what we want to see them improve upon. We want to see them improve. The great thing about what we got going on right now in that room is we don't have anybody who is losing the job, okay? And that makes it really tough, but it makes it really exciting each day, is we have a few guys in there, obviously the main two, but KJ and AJ are doing everything they can to win the job, right? And as long as they continue to do that, we're going to get better as a football team, and they're going to get better. What you don't want, and what would be scary as hell for us, is if you had guys who are out there just playing not to lose the job, or you have one of those guys who's fallen away because he is losing the job, and we don't have that right now. Makes it awfully hard, right, for us, because you got two dudes who are trying to play at a high level. Are we perfect? No. Do we mess up? Absolutely. There are things every day that we're learning, and we're learning together, and we're going in that film room and we're trying to get better at it. But you have two dudes right now who are going out and they're trying to win the job, and ultimately that's really exciting for me to watch them do that.
Obviously, you said it's an hourly conversation, a lot getting taken into account for who the starter will be. Is there any specific thing that the staff is waiting to see that you'll once you see that, you'll know you have your starter?
Yeah.
And what are some of those things that they'd be that you're like, that's who we want to move forward with?
I'll tell you guys the generic things, okay? And again, you guys are going, man, this conversation is boring as hell. But it's who can take care of the football, all the while who can make the plays when the plays are there to be made, right? It's one thing to go out there and be 12 of 12 for 28 yards because you went 1, 2, 3, get out. 1, 2, 3, get out. Hey, I threw a completion. He got tackled for a 1-yard loss, but I threw a completion. That ain't what we're looking for, okay? That's not productive football, right? So it's who can go out there and who can manage a little bit, right? Manage situations at a high level, manage the offense at a high level, complete the football, find good completions, find open receivers, get the ball to their guys in space, let them do things with it, right? And not hurt the team. And the biggest way you hurt the team as a quarterback is you turn the ball over, right? You make dumb decisions in big-time situations and you turn the ball over. And that's it with every football team, no different than ours. And that's what we have to see these guys continue to do and continue to improve upon each day. Now, the tough thing, obviously, is I do think from playing the position. I think when you take that black jersey off and you tell those dudes, hey, I'm just going to let you know you're going to get hit today. I do think that, a lot of times you find out a lot about a guy. And I'm not saying that we're going to do that or there's even been a conversation of that. But obviously that is, you talked about a wild card. That's one of the wild cards is you never know until, those guys get in those situations where, hey, those meat eaters can actually hit you. They're not going to run in front of you and go, like that. They can run through your face. You find out a lot about a guy in that situation, and we'll figure that out,
What have you thought about the guys they're throwing the ball to, the receivers? Who's standing out in that room to you?
Man, I tell you what, it's a talented room. I mean, it really is. I'm excited. We've got length. We've got some speed. Shoot, man, AJ. Obviously, AJ's. Everybody's talked about AJ. You talk about a guy with that type of catch radius. I tell you, man, Chris Marshall. That dude freaking loves football now. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who gets excited about everything with football? That guy loves football. He competes his tail off. He's fun as hell to watch now. Gritty, CC, Ish, man, he's quite a player. Donnie's been super consistent. Obviously, Hawk, old Memphis guy, Hawk, man, he's come in and made a name for himself. Very explosive. Then you got Jelani. Hell, he's the fastest man in the country, so that's good to have. But I tell you, Jelani's been fun because he's actually a football player now. Like that dude, and I shouldn't say that. Don't take that out of context. He's not just a fast runner. Like that dude, he has no problem getting hit, taking some shots. Like he's shown some toughness, really smart, like has some football savviness about him. Good kid. Hell, who am I missing, man? It's Crutch. Yeah, Crutch. CJ, man, CJ's been a really, really good player, just consistent as he can be, smart. Crutch, man, he's got a burst. So obviously you can tell I'm excited about those guys. I don't care which one of those dudes take the field. Quarterbacks don't care. Put three of them out there, and we'll find a matchup that we want to go to. So it's been a lot of fun with those guys.
And then Hank Hendricks, how do you feel like he's done? He could be starting his senior season right now.
Yeah, he's you can tell he's a coach's kid now. Like he does not get rattled. We've y'all have probably seen it. We've done some things where we've pulled him off of one field and put him up there and thrown him in some situations, trying to see if he would, wet his britches a little bit, so to speak, and he did not. You could tell he's very confident, very smart, very cerebral, has a very quick, twitchy release, powerful arm for a guy who's, 187 pounds, 188 pounds. He can produce a lot of power out of that body and his arm, and makes really good decisions. So he's a fun one. He's a really fun, and he ain't scared of nothing. He gets in that huddle, he yells at people, he gets them going. He ain't scared of nothing.
So we saw in the team periods today, red zone, low red zone, a couple of false starts in there. But what was your overall take on how you guys executed on the two team periods we saw?
Obviously, we'll know a little bit more when we go in there and watch tape. Like you said, we had false starts, and that's always going to be on us as quarterbacks. We got to control the situation with our cadences. We did have one situation that was a 2-minute down there in the low red that we did not handle very well at the quarterback position. There's certain times where you get in there where it's got to be, because of time on the clock, it's got to be a touchdown or an incompletion, right? A completion does you no good because you're not going to have time to run another play. And thought that we had communicated that when out on the field. Obviously, we did not communicate that very well because we didn't handle that situation very well. So there's some, and again, man, that's the reason why we do it. If we didn't have to do that, I'd be playing golf right now. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why you do it. You go out there and you put them in all these situations. You make it as tough as you can for them, and you let them figure it out. And I sure am glad we're figuring it out right now. It's
a serious situation. It's starting quarterback battle, and
yeah.
You guys say you put pressure on them. I wonder though if there's moments where there's laughter in the room, where that they can enjoy the football a little bit too.
Yeah, there it is. Like I said, it's a fun group. Between I will say this about the room. Don't think for one second that we don't understand. There's not many people that get to do this. I mean, this is literally, somebody in that room is going to be the quarterback of an SEC team, and there's only so many guys in the country that get to say that. And that is a serious badge of honor that those guys wear. That's a serious badge of honor that I wear to be able to coach it. So that's a very cool thing, right? It's one that we don't see as like a pressure situation. We just see it as a huge opportunity and a huge blessing that we get to be a part of, okay? Now, with that being said, there's a great responsibility that comes with that. But this is, and this will be so cliche, y'all are going to go, ugh. This is the game of football, okay? And I believe, I was taught at a very young age, there was 3 things that help you be successful. Is you play as hard as you can, you have as much fun as you can, and every time you step out on that field, you do everything you can to earn the right to expect to win. That's what it boils down to. And from a quarterback's room, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to play as hard as we can in everything that we do. When these dudes go in the weight room now, I mean, you ask the strength coaches, they get after it. We are not in there doing aerobics and hot yoga and all of that. Like, we get after it, okay? When we go out there on that field, we pull some GPS numbers and I smell like a horse bad, okay, right now, because we go out there and we get after it and we run around and we sweat and we work at it, right? We work at it. And we're going to continue to do that. We're going to have as much fun as we can, though, in the process, because if you don't, man, this game ain't worth playing. And so there has to be that element of, holy cow, boy, this was fun. Like we went out there and it's 100 degrees out there, but golly, it sure beats sitting on the couch doing nothing. It sure beats going and, work. I'm not going to say working at a specific, I don't want to piss anybody off, but it sure beats sitting at an office, so.
How difficult is it when there are some constraints, as much pressure as you try to put on these quarterbacks? There are some constraints you have that you can't really simulate in practice that you have on game day, being tackled live,
Yeah.
just everything sped up and stuff. And we'll see all over the country, somewhere there'll be a quarterback competition and the backup will get an opportunity. He comes in and he's Trinidad Jambless.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How difficult is that to overcome that? And also, secondary, have you ever thought about making Hank live sometimes, since he's not necessarily competing?
Sure. So the first one, that is probably the hardest thing it's the decision, right? When you can't simulate exactly them getting hit, whatever the case, being live, okay? Because at the end of the day, unless one of them completely separates themselves, if they stay neck and neck, then it turns into one of two things: either a very analytical decision, where you're looking at it and you're going, well, his completion percentage was this much more, and and his interceptions were this much low, whatever, or it turns into a gut feeling. So that's kind of what makes it tough when you get in that situation. It's just the decision-making process of, okay, who's going to be the guy, right? Who can lead the team? And then, shoot, we've laughed. It always comes up when you have a quarterback battle, is like, do you just make them all live for a period, half the time in fun, because you don't want to ever be the idiot that puts them out there and does it and knock on wood, somebody gets hurt, or something like that. But that would be the easiest thing, right? Is just go out there and, see who does it when the bullets are flying. You almost want to dupe them into it, and go in there and say, hey, yeah, y'all better be ready because you're live, and then go over to the defense and go, nah, don't hit them. But that's the hardest thing that you go into is, a little bit of it is you're going to figure it out on the fly in that first game, in the first big game, in the first big atmosphere. And just you hope that you've done enough to callous them up, you know what I mean, in camp, and put them in enough situations to where you've really stressed them as much as you can, so that in a way that game day's a little bit easier for them. That's what the hope is. And I will say we try our best to do that around here. Whether it's practicing in the afternoon at the heat of the day, because that's a mental fatigue on you. Whether it's crowd noise all the time, all the situations we've been talking about, we don't let them be very comfortable out there.
Has there been any discussion on the format for the scrimmage on Sunday?
Not that much, to be honest with you, just because right now there's been more discussions on some other things, like going to the hotel tomorrow night and, kind of getting the guys to figure out our way of doing things the night before scrimmage, how we do things at the hotel, how our meetings are set up. It's been more the logistics of that. Even things like pregame warm-ups, that's kind of where I think Coach Silverfield's mindset has been right now, is getting all of that stuff ready. And then we'll go, because once you get to the scrimmage part, it's pretty easy. Hey, I want this amount of total plays. I want the ones to get this amount of plays, twos to get this amount of plays. We'll figure out how we're going to do that with the quarterbacks. Obviously, both of them are going to have I will say one thing that we do is both of them get drives. We do not talk in terms of reps. So it's, hey, you're going to get X amount of drives with the ones. You're going to get X amount of drives with the ones. How that turns out, completely on you. You go out there and have a one-play drive for a touchdown, that's your drive, right? If we told you were going to get 3 total, you got 2 more. If you go out there and go 3 and out, that's your drive. So we'll do it that way and try to even it up as best we can between KJ and AJ.